For November the 1st, 2024, we talk about Call of Duty Black Ops 6, The Case of the Golden Idol DLC, Monster Train, and much more. Additionally, the audio is a little bit all over the place in this episode. Did the best we could recovering some files, but our remote recording service failed us. So yeah, shouldn't be too bad, hopefully. Otherwise, welcome to level 521. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Moxie.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. We are back. We are happy to be here. I will remind everybody that we are not going to be here next week. Next week, because we would be recording on Election Day. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense for us. My mind will probably be outside of my body at that point. Mm-hmm. Not permanently, just projecting, just trying to get away from here.
Yeah, if that's literal, then something has gone horribly wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think Tuesday night's going to be a productive night for many people. So
right. So ask me how I'm doing.
How are you doing?
Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to dwell on that though. Let's see, Ben, what are you up to?
Oh boy. I got back from vacation last week, so that was fun. I went to Colorado and saw Rocky Mountain National Park. So that was nice. And then in equally or more exciting news, I got an expansion for Gaia Project, which is my favorite board game. So I've done like a test playthrough of it this past weekend, and I will do a real playthrough of it this coming Friday. So
sweet.
Quite excited.
Is that like out new, or is that new to you?
It's a little bit of both. It's been out in Germany for a bit, but it's relatively new to the States. So as soon as a friend told me they found it in a board game store, I ordered it. So yeah. Sweet. I don't know how to describe it without it being extremely like esoteric and specific, so I'm not going to attempt.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's okay. But yeah, you had a good time in Colorado?
Yeah, it was very beautiful. I guess, I don't know, it doesn't really work with the time zone difference, but I woke up early one morning and watched the sunrise on the Rocky Mountains and drank coffee outside. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds like time well spent.
Oh, I will say, I want to add one other small thing, is my girlfriend had never seen The Shining before, so we watched that because we were near the place where Stephen King was like inspired by it to write the book.
Yeah, when he was living in Boulder.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I hadn't seen that movie in a while. It definitely holds up. It is really good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Man, that's a good movie. Like, nobody needs to say that. Like, everybody knows it's a good movie, but you forget.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I didn't remember the importance of mirrors in the movie and how much that plays into like the subtext of the movie. But my partner pointed out that the twins are like mirrors of one another as well. I was like, oh, cool.
It's funny because around this time every year, around Halloween, more people discover, like on a rewatch, like, oh, Wendy did all of the work that Jack was hired to do.
So is this streaming anywhere? Because I've actually never seen this.
I mean, I guess I could Google it, but it's around. It came out in the 80s, so.
Yeah. It's streaming on like HBO. It's also on Hulu, I guess. It's around.
How much did she have spoiled for her in terms of like the general plot points or like kind of pop culture references? Here's Johnny and Red Rum and stuff like that.
So I think she had we had gone to the Alamo Draft House in Austin, where they remodeled the entire interior to be like The Shining.
No.
So,
Wow.
but that was about the extent of her knowledge of it. She went in like relatively blind. I think the only other thing she had seen was like that picture of Jack Nicholson's face between the door,
Mhm.
but like she didn't even know what red rum meant. So yeah, she was
Okay.
pretty blind to the experience. So
Nice.
Another mirror element.
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. You get to experience it for the first time vicariously through somebody.
And now I've unlocked the ability in my relationship to yell Danny at the top of my lungs, and she understands what I'm doing. So
Oh, now play Heavy Rain for her so you can yell Jason. Oh, Dennis, how about you? What's up?
Yeah, I was at a park earlier today playing with my kiddos, and it was like a American Ninja Warrior themed park. Like,
Okay.
they had the floating stairs and like the wall that the spider climb wall and all this stuff. Basically everything but a salmon ladder. And so we were having fun and playing with that. And there was one that was like the net jump where you kind of jump off of a ledge and grab the cargo net and then walk yourself down.
Mhm.
And my kids were just a little too short to reach it.
Mm.
I was like, all right, cool dad time. Look, guys, I'm big enough to do it.
Oh boy.
And ran and jumped and caught the cargo net and then proceeded to rip about 80% of the skin off my palms.
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds really painful. Do you use your hands often?
Only for pretty much everything.
Okay.
So I can just avoid that for a couple days here. But there's no upper limit on how much of your hand can become a blood blister.
Oh,
Just
God.
yeah.
in case you were wondering.
that
So, yeah.
sounds miserable.
That is, I am incapable of remembering anything further back than that event.
Okay.
Yes, I'm in agonizing pain and am considering cutting off my hands after this episode. Just to end.
That's
that
a good
further suffering.
short-term strategy.
Yeah.
This is on brand for the Halloween episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. So gotta work on my calluses, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Well, you'll have a good head start for when your hands become usable again. Were the kids freaked out when they saw it?
No, I walked it off. I walked over and sat next to Jen and showed her. So when
Yeah.
like, you guys go play. A little bit.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
But she's like, "Oh, I had a blood blister the other day."
Okay.
Like this? Not quite. But yeah, it's cool concept for a park. I'm a big fan of like, I don't know. I feel like playgrounds when we were growing up were pretty uniform, just in terms of like the platforms and the slides that were there. And now there's like all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, there's one that's like all made out of hexagons and crazy abstract stuff, and this ninja one. So there's a lot of cool stuff out there. You just got to remember that is now, and when you were able to actually interact with all that stuff was then. So
yes, even like playgrounds, even when they weren't obstacle courses, at least in when I was a kid, like we would try and make them into obstacle courses because nothing was cooler than that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. And American Gladiators was on the air. Maybe that's a completely different time, but
it's got the same vibes. Like vibes wise, that and American Ninja Warrior are very similar.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does it have like American Ninja Warrior lacks burly men and women trying to like knock you off of the things you're climbing?
The challenges in American Ninja Warrior are just more innate to the the geometry of the thing, as opposed to like Zap and Pyro freshly oiled up and ready to pound you into the ground like a railroad spike.
Yeah. You know what? The shows these days just lack that human touch.
Yeah. If that image turned you on, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Also, you're welcome.
That's yours to deal with now. Huh. Well, I'm sorry you injured yourself.
No, it's just on me. Should have taken into account the passage of time.
Moxie, how about you?
Not too much. This past weekend was our local Ren Fair, so went down to that. My martial arts school did a demonstration, and then one of our members is also in a belly dance troupe, so she also danced.
Mhm.
So that was cool. Was a lot of fun, and then after that we did a ghost walk where they take you around the town and talk about the various ghosts and stuff.
Okay.
It was a little weird, like I don't know, a experience of like, oh, this is kind of some cultural differences. Because like, the standard ghost story is like, something horrible happens to someone and then they become a ghost and like, I don't know, let that be a lesson to you or some such.
It's just a unfinished business or dying in, horrible trauma, reliving it over and over again. Yeah.
Right. So, except that, like, almost all of these ghosts were like, oh, yeah, this person was a Confederate, and then they got killed, and then they became a ghost. So it was like, something that someone kind of deserved happened to them, and then they became a ghost.
I bet you there's at least 40% of the people who didn't think that they deserved it. Who just think like,
yeah,
that such is the ardor of the Southern gentleman.
Yeah, it was weird. Like one of them, there was some like at the time they didn't have a gravestone or something, so they just marked his grave in the local cemetery with like a boulder.
Okay.
And there was some thought that maybe that's why I was upset. And so in 2021, the city like redid his grave with a grave marker and like a full military funeral with 21 gun salute.
Okay.
It's like, since when do we give military funerals to traitors?
Yeah. God, participation trophies left and right.
Yeah, like, and Grant, I'm not saying like the person doing it wasn't coming out from like, oh yeah, the Confederacy was awesome or anything like that. I'm not trying to give that
I don't
sort of thing. It was just weird being like, I don't know, ghost stories hit differently when in those contexts.
Yeah.
They were spookier alive than as a ghost.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty comfortable with them being ghosts. That's cool. Did you do any costume stuff, or was it just martial arts?
Yeah. So I did. Let's see. I did the cloak from my Gideon cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
And I made just kind of like a rag kind of pixie skirt. So just kind of use mostly elements from previous costumes for that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the day before was the Wicker Man burning, and so kind of a similar thing with that, but then did a kind of a more Norse themed variant of the skull makeup I'd learned to do for the Gideon cosplay.
Cool.
It's funny because like full face skull makeup is actually dramatically easier than like actually normal makeup.
A lot less fine motor skill required for it, probably.
Well, and also it's things where like you don't really have to worry about like foundation stuff nearly as much when your entire face is going to be covered in grease paint.
Right. Probably an awful lot less like needing to understand the face as a 3D object too.
Right. Well, that's one of the funny things is that a lot of like what you would do with contouring is like emphasizing the jawbones and that sort of thing. So like doing skull makeup basically is innately contouring.
Huh.
Yeah,
well,
that
sounds like fun.
Yeah, that was it was a lot of fun. This year the effigy for the Wicker Man was a dragon, so that was kind of cool.
Okay. Did it light itself on fire?
It did not light itself on fire. They fired a flaming arrow at it and then further lit it with torches.
Okay.
So,
Well,
yeah, was a very good time.
Sounds like fun. Yeah. I don't have anything nearly that exciting. Just a like one part chill this weekend. Like went to a Halloween party at my little sister's and it was fun. Got to hang out with family, and then just a bunch of work. Though I did, for people who have not seen, I put out this year's Halloween reading.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Every year I do a Halloween short story reading for patrons. This year I read a story by an author named Laird Barron. It's kind of a modern day, like weird fiction mythos writer kind of guy. Read a real neat story called Shiva Open Your Eye. Which is unusual compared to previous stuff that I have read. It's the ninth time we've done that. We started doing it. Started doing it in 2016. So like there are a bunch there now for people who want to hear them. So yeah, that was a good chunk of the weekend. That when I wasn't doing podcast homework.
Very cool.
Yeah. And that podcast homework was games that I'm not going to talk about, but I imagine you have games to talk about. And to do that, we need to do the regular kind of show with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with
The Grind.
The Grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the last period of time or so. Ben, you've been away the longest, so I will throw to you.
Yeah, I only have one new one, and I have one old one that I rubbed some dust off of. But I guess I'll start with the old one and get that one out of the way. I've been playing SNKRX, which
Snickers?
Yeah, it's a game I think me and Dennis were pretty heavily into, like I don't know, 5 years ago or something like that.
No.
Yeah, that was a pandemic project.
Yeah, just four.
That was like 2 years ago, 2 or 3.
Okay,
max.
Yeah, no, I just wanted a that sort of game with that sort of game design of like good progression, and randomness, that sort of thing. It's sort of like Terraforming Mars, but in a video game form.
Mm-hmm.
So that it scratched that itch. However, like I saw on the Steam page, I think it was like the person who made this game. It's a small project from an individual person, but I think they had set out to try and make like a refactored version of it or update the code. And then a year later, there's a message just like, "Hey, sorry, I'm not going to do that anymore." And so I was like, "Oh, sorry, bud. I'll buy whatever your next thing is whenever it comes out."
I was going to ask what has been updated, if anything.
Nothing. No. I'm just trying to get other achievements, but it's just still a good game. I don't really have much to say about it other than it had been long enough since I played it that I do enjoy kind of going back to it and seeing it and playing it again. But the meta is still the same, so there's not really a whole lot of like new like thought that I have. Like I think most of the strategy is kind of already pre-figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I thought it was just funny that I went back to that. But the thing I'll move on to, which is something technically new, but then also something kind of old from this time frame, is I picked up the expansion for the Case of the Golden Idol.
Shit.
There was a second expansion for it that I had missed called the Lemurian Vampire. That was DLC.
Yes.
So it just adds 3 new levels to the game and kind of expands upon the story, like the base game and some of the base characters. And I believe some of the characters from the first DLC as well. And then this is kind of in preparation for another thing I found out is there's another game that they're making called The Rise of the Golden Idol, which is coming out in November, which I was completely unaware of until I figured that out.
That snuck up on me. They announced it not terribly long ago. And it's going to be like, I think it's set in like the 70s or something like that. Like it's a real time jump.
Yeah, it kind of has like the British Bobby 70s type look to it. Yeah. So this one, it's just 3 stories. It's kind of like ever increasing like production value and kind of better details compared to the base game and the first expansion. And by that, I mean, Like there's kind of more higher fidelity like animations going on, and then the maps are a little bit more complicated and have a little bit more going on than the base game. And notably in this one, with the 3 different maps that you have, it'll have times of day that you can toggle between. So you might have a map of like an island that has like a palace on it. And then you, at the highest level map, you can toggle between like morning, midday, and night. And all the characters will be in 3 different places during that time. And so it's the same sort of gameplay where you're going around and kind of collecting all the nouns and verbs from people's dialogue. And then you have another screen where you're trying to puzzle out what's happened from what you're seeing in the game. And so it's a little bit more complicated since you have these 3 different times, is like time jumps going on, where there's a little bit more of piecing together like, oh, this person's probably talking about what they did earlier that day with this person, or oh, I see this person like by the lake here in this second part, so that means maybe they were doing this exercise.
Yeah.
So there's kind of more,
It's kind of like a more direct mechanical implementation of a lot of the logic that you have to do in the final case in the base game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that one I remember. Did that one do time jumps, or was that like, because I know there was just like a giant field for the last level of the base game.
It was like a big map that went to all of the previous locations. But figuring out when stuff happened was like the big kind of tangle of it. This isn't a spoiler because it'll become clear like when you sit down to see it. It's obvious.
Yeah. So it's interesting, and they kind of play around with the different types of puzzles you're figuring out. Where it's not always just like kind of like a word salad that you're piecing together. There's a few times where they kind of iterated on it in interesting ways, where you might be putting together more of like an image puzzle or something like that. So it's pretty good. The difficulty is still it's kind of ever increasing. So I hope that there's a reset for the new version, the Rise of the Golden Idol.
I hope so too.
Because the difficulty is about as hard as like the last level of the base game was, meaning that like you get to these points where you might have like 10 or 15 words that you have to piece together, and it's pretty easy to get like 1 or 2 things slightly wrong, where it's like, oh, instead of steal, it meant like you should have said take or something like that, or like something like that, where it's like close enough words, but it's not exactly how they wanted you to say it. So that's the only thing that I hope gets polished out a little bit, because there are a few cases of that in this version of the game. But that didn't really sour my enjoyment of the game. I think if you enjoyed the base game and enjoyed like the first expansion, you'll enjoy this independent of the difficulty. But
so I played both of these DLC cases back around when we covered Golden Idol on WoF. We didn't cover them on the show. But I found the end of the Lemurian vampire like it took me. I'm actually embarrassed to admit how long to figure out what specifically was going on, even knowing the information that I knew from the base game. Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which is there a way to say what part without spoiling things, or?
The specific mechanism by which some inconsistencies with who is present might be explained.
Okay. Yeah. Is it anything to do with like the Golden Idol itself, or was that part clear?
The Golden Idol was a part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, I like the story, and I liked kind of the culture that they created, because basically it takes place on this island that characters that you're familiar with have kind of like crash landed or come to at some point in the ocean. And so there's kind of like a new group of people on this island that kind of have their own like culture and ways of living. And so that's kind of like an interesting narrative beat that's like elaborated on across the 3 stories.
Like there's one case in it where you've got to like figure out like what each person's role on the council is, like they do cool stuff that is like an echo of some of the cooler stuff. Like kind of the standout case from Case of the Golden Idol 1, the court scene.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's a huge narrative jump in that one. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. So anyway, I'm excited for the game to come out in November proper. So this was like a nice reintroduction into the series to get me primed for that. Yeah.
Sweet. So the first time on the show that we talked about SNKRX was in June of 2021.
All right. So about 3.5,
something like that. Yeah. Right. Just wanted to settle that since there was ambiguity and that information exists. I just had to search for it.
Sure.
Now, the interesting thing will be to predict when is the last time we will talk about it on the show.
I don't know. That sounds like something that if you predicted it, you could just endeavor to make it true. So you could say,
I think we need to make a pact that this is the last time. Never to mention SNKRX again.
The madness ends here. I know everybody's tired of hearing that.
Look, we're not going back, okay? In fact, you have to go forward. You're kind of like your snake is always going forwards.
Yes.
You can't stop it.
Oh, now we're kind of playing it again by talking about it. Did you have anything else, Ben?
That's all I got.
Okay. Let's see. Let's go to Dennis. How about you?
Yeah, I've got a big AAA new game to talk about. I jumped into Call of Duty.
Which one are they on now?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I it's an honest answer because they started doing the First Blood Rambo kind of naming with it.
This is COD Blops V.
Yeah, whatever COD Blops V, but it's Call of Duty 6 and the reboot is in there somewhere. So in terms of number game in the series, who knows? It's whatever installed on my computer when I was like, I want to check out a zombies mode in the game. Click.
Which, to be fair, that in of itself is not a trivial process.
Yeah. Okay, so the most recent one is Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
Correct. And I have been playing that. But the interesting thing is, so like it installed a host of games on my system when I clicked download. Like it was 200 gigabytes of games.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Ironically, you are the host and it is the virus, but
yes.
No. Yeah, so that's where I go. Sorry, go on.
Well, it's Call of Duty Legion, essentially.
Yeah, that is way too much hard drive space to take up in an era of SSDs where like you're lucky if you're rolling around with a 1 terabyte.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why I say that installing itself and knowing what game you installed is a problem, because the reason that happens is the Call of Duty 6 installer defaults to installing both multiplayer, single player, and for some reason Call of Duty 3?
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 3?
Yes, which also has a single, like a multiplayer and a single player mode. And all these are seemingly different games because I think when I click the button that says Call of Duty, and it is listed on my Xbox app as just Call of Duty, no specifics, no number next to it, no blops, whatever. I open that up. It takes me to a screen of like what's new, which includes the Black Ops 6 campaign, which includes the new zombie mode, which includes a bunch of other stuff. When I click on any one of those, it exits out to the desktop and starts a new game. So I think this is like the world's worst launcher.
They're trying to make a game into a launcher. And
Basically, yes. And like I said, I went in because I was like, oh, I want to try a zombies mode. But, I had it installed. And I was like, well, I'm probably going to be playing zombies with friends while I'm waiting for, the right time for that. Why don't I just play through the campaign? And if I'm going to do that, I'll go back to the Call of Duty 3 campaign, which took me back. And that's the first thing I played through. And it's incredibly short. It is a sitting, or two.
Yeah.
You can blast through it pretty quickly. And what's there is incredibly polished. Like it is a little bit more open world than I remember like Modern Warfare 2 being. So there are a lot more missions where it kind of drops you into a sandbox and tells you 3 things you need to accomplish. Go, which is cool, and that's fun to do. It does make it interesting because the way I approach this type of game when I'm playing it is like I am helping act out a movie, right?
Sure.
Like I want cool things to happen and set pieces and all that. But I am a player in this. I'm the main character. But I'm trying to act out what I think would be cool. And that works a lot better if you remember how to play the game. So for example, I forgot how to detonate C4.
Okay.
To be fair, the controls in this are kind of nonsense.
Yeah, there's a lot of and what now that I've finished the Call of Duty 3 campaign and I'm on into the Black Ops 6, and there's notable differences in the way like stuff works in between. But we'll get to that. Anyway, big dramatic infiltrating a system, planting C4 on the chopper, running into the drainage ditch as people are firing at me, and then just being like, fuck. No, okay. That's my throwing knife. Like waiting for this chopper to explode,
So
not knowing how.
I think my favorite instance of just questionable control design is I'm very much used to like your general interaction key, open doors, stuff like that is E. That's fairly common.
Yeah.
However, in this game, E is set to probably the worst thing possible. E is throw grenade.
Oh, no.
Which means you routinely try to like interact with a computer or something like that and just chuck a grenade.
Try to talk to somebody and then just throw. Yeah.
It's rough. So
this is a bit more of a basic question. It's going to sound like I'm doing a bit, but I'm not. Was a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 in an Arabic numeral, or was a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 in a Roman numerals?
I think Roman numerals.
I think this one was Roman.
Okay, so that's the one that came out last year. So you bought the game and then you got last year's campaign, or downloaded the game and got last year's campaign.
Yeah.
Okay,
got it through Game Pass.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's a thing where Game Pass, Activision is owned by Microsoft. Game Pass is owned by Microsoft. Therefore, like you already had Call of Duty 3, but you might as well like try to trick people into installing it, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe.
So it seems like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, the one that came out in 2010, is a different game with a new story compared to the one from 2023, which is Call of Duty Modern Warfare I.
Yes. I believe 3 was the one that was like in space or something.
No, that was like Future War.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Advanced
Also,
Warfare
I
or something
believe
like that.
this the Black Ops series went like Black Ops 1, 2, 3, Black Ops Cold War, Black Ops Global War, Black Ops 6, something like that.
Oh, no. That's like how my top counts.
I'm not trying to make it a bit. I just wanted clarification, because when you say Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, I think about the game that like disappointed Ben back in 2011.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, like I'm not sure anyone knows. I don't think anyone liked Modern Warfare 3.
It just seems like a real failure for them to make it as complex as this is.
Yeah, it is, a team of marketers who think about this all day, every day, and talk themselves into the most obtuse naming structures just because they're too close to the problem.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's also a thing where, they kind of, for a while, I think for Modern Warfare, were flirting with just the thing where, like, when the most recent Modern Warfare came out, it just kind of latched on to the existing multiplayer.
Yeah, well, and then Warzone was kind of like a thing within a thing. I have the latest version of Warzone as well, I guess.
But they ruined that.
Yeah,
a while ago. Yeah.
So I think there was a certain degree to which it was going to be like Call of Duty as a whole is a live service game, but then that didn't really work, and so now Treyarch just decided Black Ops isn't part of the live service.
I think
It's also a
I
thing.
think
I think at some point Treyarch became the good team, which is kind of weird.
yeah.
I think the problem is like they're like other game companies, like the 2K games where they put out a game every year. But with this franchise, like instead of it being like a basketball or football one where it's like it's going to be the same game but with like a few added features, they have to try and differentiate these games to get people to buy them. Like, oh, there's something new here, but it's still the same framework where it's like people are just iterating just enough to make this a new product to sell it for like $60 or $70 every year.
Yeah,
and there's only so many
like
times that a new bioweapon can be a scary thing. Like I think in 2, in 3, and in Black Ops, it has been scary bioweapon.
I
will say though, traditionally Black Ops has been the one that does innovation. Like that's kind of been their thing. I think partially because it's more dramatically changed the time setting of the games.
It also depends on like when you're talking about in the franchise, because
I just
91.
I just really think like they shot themselves in the foot is a drastic way to say this. I have no idea how it has suffered in a massive company like that. If there was anybody at the wheel, you would not let things get to the point where it's impossible to even talk about what game you are what game people are playing.
Yeah.
So actually, there's a very elegant analogy here. So in the consumer products world, we call it SKU proliferation. SKU proliferation. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Where ultimately you're trying to, like, everyone's got some new thing that they want, and you wind up launching a bunch of different products to meet those niche needs, and then you're like, well, we have 600 different versions of our product, we need to crack it back down, but then it always balloons back up just because everyone wants to have their special thing.
It's Nintendo. We got the DS, we got the DSi, we got the new DS, we got the 3DS, we've got the new 3DS, the new 3DSi Mega, the new 3DSi. Yeah, again, like, products, if they're going to exist, people need to talk about them. And everything should be done to make that possible, one imagines. And here we are not talking about the game. I'm sorry for taking us on that.
No,
I have
the perfect solution. All right. So we're going to simplify it all down. This is so elegant, guys. I'm going to pitch this to the Activision marketing team. The most recent Call of Duty will always be Call of Duty 1, and then we'll number going backwards.
Okay.
So you always know which Call of Duty you're playing. It's so perfect.
Huh.
I mean, at this point, I'm just at, like, there's Call of Duty Black Ops, and then Call of Duty, maybe you shouldn't be playing this.
Maybe? Maybe there's something I haven't heard about. And I already finished.
Oh, no, I just care not at all about the Modern Warfare stuff. Like, it's that it has, to me, the big difference between the two is Black Ops has done a somewhat continuous story, whereas Modern Warfare has just told the same story over and over again.
Yeah, which is Makarov has stolen the bioweapons.
Exactly.
But really, it's like Black Ops, at least as far as I can tell, this is the first Black Ops game I've played, but from what I can tell, it's the bioweapons came from inside the CIA.
Oh, yeah. It is straight up just like each one is generic. It's basically the formula for Black Ops is like close your eyes with a timeline, point to it, and then do a generic Tom Clancy thriller set in that timeline.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what Call of Duty is. Like I said, when I play this, I want to help act out a Tom Clancy movie. Like that is what I'm doing. That's what I'm here for.
And to me, that's why I love the Black Ops series. Is that's the game that understands that is the assignment, as opposed to the game that thinks that it's like an edgy war movie.
Yeah, I guess if being on the cutting edge of warfare is your thing, but you're popping out a title every year, then like it's hard to feel edgy, Remember we had drones in the last game? Well, we're still having drones in here. And drones there are. That's another thing that actually prevented me from acting well is I forgot what all like the kill streak rewards do. So you can find I forget what they call them. But it's like, call in a bombing run, call in a helicopter or a VTOL or this, that, the other thing. And you can find those in the field kind of as you're doing these sandbox missions. But I don't remember what any of them are or how any of them work. So like I'm trying to creep up on this place. It was actually the helicopter that I eventually put C4 on. And I was like, ooh, I'll call in this. I have a stealth bomber. That feels like the right thing for this. I'll call in the stealth bomber. And it brings up like I got a map of the area on an iPad and I can see where the bad guys are. And then there's just like a long arrow. And I'm like, what does this arrow do? Is there a focal point of this arrow? Do I put it like over everything I want to hit, or is only the tip of it what I hit? I don't, and, I clicked it and completely did it wrong and bombed myself. So that, I had to restart that. I survived it, but I was like, that ruined the scene. Let's cut, let's rewind.
I love how you just accidentally find a stealth bomber.
Yeah. It's just one around. Well, it's even funnier is it's like, you're on the enemy's territory. So I guess it's the enemy's iPad with a stealth bomber that, you can just open up and call in, go figure. So I had that problem. I had the problem. I, planted a brick of C4, and then couldn't remember how to detonate it. So I had to, got that right finally. Okay. I know how to detonate it. The next helicopter I plant another brick of C4 on, and run and detonate that as I'm like diving into this like sunken in area. So it was a really cool action moment. Like, yeah, pulling the trigger on the C4 while I'm diving through the air. Have you ever fired a gun whilst diving through the air and screaming ah? I've done it with C4 now.
Okay.
But so then from there I climb up onto a roof and I'm like scouting out where the next chopper is, and I realize it must have been something in the placement of the C4. The one brick that I used worked on the first chopper. It was not enough to take out the second chopper. And now I'm like, imagine this special forces guy getting, to his final objective and realizing, oh crap, I need to go put more C4 on that first chopper. All right, everyone here, hold on. I'm going to go back and do another run at this second one. So it just silly stuff like that. Paying attention to objectives, knowing where I'm supposed to go. Like there, at the end of this mission, you're trying to infiltrate into a nuclear reactor. And you're supposed to like scout it out and find different entrance points. But I was super basic and got lost, and then wound up walking in the front door.
Okay.
Where they least expect.
Exactly. Which, to the game's credit, there's a wonderful little voice exchange between you and your handler or whatever. Because it's like, all right, Watcher, I found the front entrance. I think I'm going out, in that way. Roger, that is your entry point. Yes, the entrance.
But
Roger that. Just like amazing, awkward, like staring at each other, like, yeah, I'm going to enter by the entrance. This is cool. So that that's great. But then I get go ahead.
Oh, gone. No.
Well, I was just say then I get in there and surprise, it's not nukes in the nuclear reactor. It is chemical weapons, because that's the story of every Call of Duty game. And my squad mates are coming to rescue me, and they're like, "We're here, come to us!" And I thought that meant jump down and go through this door, when actually it meant jump up and grab a rope. So I'd be like, "All right, I'm here, I'm getting out," and then just choking to death in the gas as I wander around confused. So what I've learned from all this is I am the worst action movie star. And so glad we have braver and smarter people than me on the front lines.
So, have you done the puzzles in the main base?
For Black Ops?
Yeah.
Yes. So maybe switching gears. So I played that campaign. It was very short, 2 sittings and I was done. In Black Ops, the campaign is much more robust, and you do
sorry, I didn't understand you. Oh, so you actually played Modern Warfare 3. Okay, that's your mistake. No, never play Modern Warfare. No. Okay, I completely understood. Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, never play Modern Warfare.
I had my fun with it, and it was the right length of time for what I wanted out of it. So that's all good. And what I will say is the games are very pretty in motion, specifically. Like I would put the animation in Call of Duty up there with like Uncharted in terms of everybody's little twitches or stumbles, etc. Are just bring the action to life, and there's a ton of attention to detail. So you shoot someone and I nick their side and they grab that, kind of twist around and then stumble awkwardly back towards cover. And like, it is really cool to see the ballistics of what's going on impact the animation so much.
It's designed to be a spectacle that no person personally has ever seen.
Right. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
But Black Ops and Moxie, have you been playing Black Ops as well? Should we take?
So I just started a little bit before this, so I'm about halfway through the second mission. Halfway through the first real mission.
Yeah, because in Black Ops. Okay, first off, the surprisingly funny moments in Call of Duty is going to be like the theme of this. In the opening, cutscene for Black Ops, they kind of frame it as in like this team is in an interrogation room getting debriefed on some mission that went south. It feels like it's a direct continuation of whatever Black Ops came before, but I never played that, so I didn't have the point of reference.
Yeah, like from what I've played, like you in an interrogation room because you done fucked up is basically the frame story of every Black Ops.
Yeah, and then the best part is though the guy questioning you has a folder and he kind of flops it on the table, kind of throws and spins it and it hits the table. He's like, all right, you're gonna tell me what's going on here, blah, blah, blah. And then you kind of like flash back and you see a little bit of what he's talking about, and you come back to the room and he's holding the same folder and flips it onto the table again. And what the hell was this about? And you flash back and remember, I swear to God, every time this guy came into frame, he was holding a folder that he flipped onto the table.
Oh yeah. And he is very much like, definitely the mission was to get him pictures of Spider-Man.
Right. Very much so. So I guess, a little bit of goofiness goes a long way. And especially in a game that has a zombies mode. And I found out, I won't spoil anything, but I guess the zombies mode is diegetic in some way.
Like related to the main campaign?
Yeah, in that, well, how to say this? They find a way to have zombie mode style mechanics show up in the main campaign.
Okay.
I'll say no more than that. Yeah. But you get the sense early on that maybe there's some stuff going on with your character that goes beyond what you might think. So but to what you were talking about, Moxie, your first quote unquote mission is to explore a house, and not in combat. It is like a gone home in this house. Walk around, use a black light to find hidden codes, like piano puzzles, like play these notes and a secret door opens, like that kind of stuff.
It's so throw in a little bit of like walking sim, flashlight house stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You mastermind key code puzzles, that sort of thing. And that was like basically I had solid 20 minutes of just exploring, and derping around, and it's not what I was expecting to play when I booted the game up. But the puzzles were fun.
I think a big part of this is like, unlike mainline Modern Warfare, like this isn't really a war game so much as it's like a spy thriller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
Yeah, I think my favorite for that is, and this is spoiler, so like jump ahead 5 minutes if someone cares, but like the final part of that is the mansion is like an abandoned KGB hideout. And the final thing is you basically work out that these puzzles you're solving, the reason they exist is this was a training exercise for KGB agents. And kind of the funny thing is the final one was apparently like meant to be language training. And so you basically end up in like a super like Soviet era, like this is definitely what a normal capitalist dog living room looks like. And they basically tell you, give you a series of English words, and you have to go to the correct item and like find the number on them.
Okay.
And it's
So
presented as like a story.
Right.
Like,
and so it's just kind of fun that like it's it's not just straight up like find this thing. It's also almost like a Fallout-esque scenario where it's like suddenly you find yourself in like a 50s style like Leave It to Beaver house.
Yeah. Well, and what gets even more interesting, I played Control recently, and it very much feels like this game is doing that. Especially as you get deeper into the secret facilities that have been abandoned, and some of the psychological stuff that I was referencing earlier, like that when that starts to kick in, it is hyper reminiscent of Control.
Is it like SCPE or Paranormally?
More specifically,
no spoilers.
Yeah,
Okay.
more specifically to like parallels to the specific plot of Control.
Okay.
Just some things that you're dealing with, and the way they present are very. I was like, this is the hiss, or whatever. Oh,
gone.
I was gonna say I won't comment on how much of it is like real versus in your head versus I don't know yet. But yeah, it's got a much more suspense thriller kind of weird X-Files vibe to it.
Yeah, I'm interested to know. So I played Black Ops 1 and I think some of 2, and then missed the ones in between. And
3 purple and gold.
Say that again?
You missed 3 purple and gold.
Exactly. I am interested to know what happened, particularly with Woods in the meantime, because like it's, if I recall correctly from Black Ops 1, basically the guy who is kind of one of your main handlers straight up killed JFK.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like I said, I played the first one. It's like, I wonder if that's come up in like the last 4 games, or if just like
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
So this game is kind of fun because it is first game set during the 90s. It's Iraq War 1 is kind of the framing.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is sort of a in between where it's advanced enough to start having some modern technology, what you would expect kind of in a, I guess, the post 9/11 era of military sims and stuff, but not so much that just everything is drones and C-130s and stuff like that.
Just effectively magic.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of fun. I don't know. So the maps for multiplayer at least state that they're set in like 1991, which is the same time as the game. However, it seems like at least some of the technology is more advanced, although that could just be because like at this point the series kind of has to have drones and shit.
Yeah, so it has to be like, oh, this is deniable technology, blah blah blah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense because like
To be fair, the drone that I'm thinking of right now is an RC car.
right.
Oh no, but like multiplayer does have straight up UAVs.
Oh, multiplayer. Okay, got it. I was thinking about in the campaign.
Yeah.
I
But
think
for-
I think everything I've seen in the campaign is time period appropriate,
Yeah, but I mean, like,
or at least conceivably around in Black Ops.
like in Gulf War 1, like they had just figured out like mobile GPS.
Right.
And like it wasn't until Clinton that they like unlocked for consumers like the GPS that can locate you within a few feet. Like if they kept it entirely accurate, it wouldn't have the flash whiz pow that they would want in the campaign. So like it's always going to be like, oh, here's our Q technology that
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it seems like they do at least a little bit, my understanding, I was 2 at the time. My understanding is that Gulf War One, like one of the biggest kind of new core technologies was the extensive use of cruise missiles and smart bombs, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And it does seem like a lot of the kill streaks and stuff are functionally the same as what they've ever been, but it does seem like they kind of explain them more as like cruise missiles and airstrikes and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of theming at least.
Yeah, isn't just a coat of paint. Like it's still fulfilling the same. So it's like, oh, is it magic? Is it blah blah blah? Like, you just change the metaphor and then suddenly, yay, it's acceptable. Anything goes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Dennis, have you tried any of the multiplayer yet?
No, I dipped into the zombies mode solo. But that was just a couple of tries at it, and I had very much the same experience I did in 3's campaign, where it's like I don't know how any of this works, and like I called in extraction and stood under the helicopter and was not sure how to actually get in the helicopter until time ran out and I lost. So
yeah, so that's
where I'm at.
Yeah, so there's some weird stuff with it. So actually, at some point we should talk about like what they've actually added to this game. But yeah, with the zombies mode, it's funny because there's a ton of depth to it, but like you said, very little of it is explained. I actually ended up learning a lot from it. From like getting killed and then spectating on my teammates and like realizing like, oh, that's the thing I was supposed to be doing.
That's why they're all yelling at me.
Right. Like most notably, I made it through like I think extraction opens up at like wave 6, right? And so like wave 6 is kind of the minimum, like, I don't know, you didn't just completely whiff number of rounds. And then, it seems like a lot of them I've been done where things, are just going kind of mediocre will, end in the like 13 to 15 range. So my first time around, like I made it to like, I don't know, wave 20 something with a team. However, it was not until my next match that I realized like, oh, this has the armor mechanic from Warframe or Warfare, and I just Warzone, whatever the hell they call it. And I just like wasn't effectively was not healing.
Right. Yes. Whoops.
The other one that's kind of funny is, as far as I can tell, the extraction mechanic is just like a partial mechanic. Like at one point, this was an extraction shooter, and then they decided to have it not be an extraction shooter, but left in the ability to extract, and you just get some like bonus experience if you do it.
But no, I get a definitive, like I get a cutscene where like an elite zombie knocks the chopper out of the air and a you lose screen.
Yeah, so that happens. In order to extract, you have to kill all the zombies currently on the map. Like once you activate extraction,
Oh my
a
god!
wave of zombies comes after you.
Yeah, I was kiting like the last 2 zombies around because I was low on ammo.
Okay, yeah, yep, that's what
I
did
was
it.
just like, screw these guys. I'm running away from them because I got to figure out how to get on this chopper.
Yeah, and like the only thing they do to tell you that is like there's just some radio chatter with the chopper pilot being like, "Oh, there's too many zombies. I can't land." That sort of thing.
So stupid.
Yeah, like I said, like it is a really good game. It is a lot of fun. The zombie mode. It is not well explained. Like that
It
is
almost
straight
feels
up definitely not you.
like, yeah, they are trying to encourage like how to play videos or whatever. It's like they're depending on that to do their work for them.
Yeah, I think
absolutely, and also like it might be wasted effort to explain anything because who is playing this that wasn't playing it last year or whenever they put out the last one or just knows how this works. Like they are
sheepishly raises hand.
Yeah, so that actually has been some of the fun for me because the game hasn't been out long enough for the wiki to be updated. So what I'm doing right now for zombie mode is like reading the wiki for the old game. And it's like probably like 80% of these mechanics are the same, but about 20% of them I know has changed between games. So there's definitely things where like, for example, the boss monsters, most of them have been in every version of zombies and basically operate the same way, but like there's slight differences in what their weak zones are and stuff. So it's very much like the playground telephone game of like, this is probably how they work, but it could just not be.
Yeah. And I wonder how much of that, vibe capturing is intentional. Like that you are meant to kind of progressively get your sea legs round over round versus coming in knowing what's going on. Like I don't know if you can call it like a skill or mastery curve because it's just figuring out what the fuck is going on, So I don't know how that
sounds like a terrible experience. I would put this game down immediately.
Oh, see, I've actually been having a great time.
Yeah, based on what you're saying about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So the moment to moment is very fun. Like killing zombies for 20 minutes is a lot of fun, and then not being able to figure out how to end the game properly at the end is just like a little bit of silliness on it.
Yeah, I would feel like I was losing my mind.
Like to emphasize, like extracting barely matters.
Oh, good to know because I have not done it yet.
Like you get bonus experience. However, this game mode already gives you a ton of experience. And like extracting, just as far as I can tell, that was just meant apparently there is actually a mission that you can complete in these zones, but that part is intentionally obtuse. It's supposed to be you mess around with the mechanics and figure it out. And as far as I can tell, the extraction mechanic is basically just a way for them to allow you to beat the run without having to make while still making the overall kind of meta game of the map something that you have to figure out. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's one interesting thing is it is extremely, extremely kitey.
You spend a lot of time going backwards.
Yeah, and like it's interesting because I'm used to games like this, zombie games trying to punish you for this, and the game really doesn't. Like just straight up, you can just run around fairly indefinitely and just periodically turn and shoot at the guys. it's less of a thing where like moment to moment that won't work, and more of a thing of like eventually you'll screw up and die if you aren't, keeping up with your upgrades and all those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. The multiplayer, on the other hand, is kind of interesting. Probably the biggest new mechanic they've added this time around is they have significantly upgraded the movement system in the game. So you can now sprint in any direction, and so like strafe and sprint or sprint backwards, that sort of thing. And you can also, when you're on the ground, if you like aim in various directions, you'll kind of like roll around on the ground to be able to aim at enemies all around you.
Yeah, whereas before, being prone locked you to probably like a 90-degree window.
So this is why when I see snippets of play from this, it looks like, and I'm not using this to be pejorative or anything, it looks like somebody is having something of a seizure. It constantly jittering and then like moving forward and backward and just kind of all at the same rate.
Yep.
Is that also omnidirectional movement thing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They've also notably basically added the dive from Max Payne.
Okay.
So like if you're sprinting in a direction and crouch, you'll do a slide. If you're sprinting in the direction and like press one of the other buttons, you'll basically dive through the air. And while diving,
not slow you down though.
Right, does not slow you down, and you're encouraged, like, you can very much dive through the air, and while you're in the air, turn 180 and shoot at people behind you, or like dive through a doorway and shoot at someone who's trying to camp the door, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, so far, the degree to which I've been able to successfully do that and like not look like an idiot is kind of mixed.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think so far, like the danger with that is that it becomes the next like annoying bunny hopping. And so far my experience has been, I think it does a fairly good job of riding a middle ground in that like playing against someone that is really good at that is challenging and like slightly frustrating, but mostly frustrating to a degree that kind of makes the game more fun, if that makes sense.
Okay. So we've been talking about this game for about 40 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. Well, there was also a substantial technical break there where Ben had to go. So I don't mean to like put a quash on it. It just that is just more time than I usually give for two people to talk about their game.
Sure.
I just want to.
Did you hear? It's like 6 games in there though.
I've reached
the end of stuff I have to say about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to focus us toward a conclusion. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, the last thing I'll say that is some of the most stupid but most fun I've had is there's a whole bunch of new maps, and one of them is basically like just 2 hotel rooms separated by a hallway, like on either side of a hallway. So the point being, like, it is just an absurdly small map. It basically feels like, like about the size of like an average single level house.
Okay.
And this is, 6 players with fully automatic weapons and the ability to like infinite sprint and dive through the air. And it is just the most nonsense. Like, it straight up feels like just, what if everyone was in a college dorm room and all of a sudden decide to do a gunfight?
How many players on this map?
6 players. I'm sorry, 6 versus 6.
That's way too many for that.
Moly.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It is stupid, but it is actually a lot of fun because it's just all people straight up like diving like a quarter of the way across the map and like shooting through hallways, and it is the stupidest, most fun I've had in a very long time.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know that I have any questions that I didn't already ask just about the presentation. I mean, like, you know, it's pretty well established what a Call of Duty is at this point.
Yep.
Yeah. Call of Duty, all of them.
Yes. Yeah, Ben had to go. That's why you haven't heard him for a little bit. We just he had an emergency to attend to. He will be okay.
In retrospect, the Ben signal was a bad idea.
Let's see, Moxie, did you have anything else besides Call of Duty Black Ops 6?
Real briefly, I'm on the more or less final boss of Cult of the Lamb.
Okay.
Not really anything too much other than that, other than there's a pretty big difficulty spike.
Okay.
However, the game also doesn't seem particularly interested in keeping you from just cheesing some of the mechanics to make you more powerful, so I'll probably have beat that by next time. But yeah, good game.
Yeah. Is this a game where like, okay, there's a final boss for the main story, but then there's like a substantial post game that you have to chase after?
I know there is a post game. I don't know how significant it is. The vibe I've gotten is that it's mostly just like, hey, if you liked some of this gameplay, like here's an excuse to kind of keep doing it.
Yeah.
Which yeah, I think is fine.
Yeah. And just, like beating the heart or mom and Binding of Isaac isn't the end of that. Like it's about unlocking stuff. But it sounds like this is like a straight up just like progression. It is not where you're like unlocking new items for a pool. Like you've got the management layer in there.
There is a pool. But yeah, it's I'd say some of both.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else about Cult of the Lamb?
No, that's it.
Okay. I do not have much because we've been trying to clear the decks for the winter RPG on Watch Out for Fireballs, which is going to be Cyberpunk. We announced that yesterday, I believe. 100-hour game. Cool.
Are you also doing the anime as part of that, or is that outside of the scope?
That'll be a later thing, most likely. I'm not sure how much that has to do with the game, or if that's like a thing in the setting more so. But yeah, just like beating all of Diablo and Diablo 2 and then going into that has been taking up a lot of time in addition to all of the other work. So I have been playing kind of more games on my phone because I've also got we've got Balatro coming up on the schedule, and Balatro has a free version on Apple Arcade to play on your iPhone, and I was poking around on there because it'd been a while since I had seen what was in there. And a few days ago, I was like, oh wait, they just have a whole ass version of Monster Train on Apple Arcade.
Hey.
Like, oh yeah. Have you played that before?
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah. I played that before, and I know that like it is the one like Magic the Gathering like card game, and also maybe like the one roguelike that works on me.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically because of the way that it handles unlocks and like specializing in like the factions that you have, the red and green and all of that. And so like I really, really enjoyed it when I played it, a few years back on Watch Out for Fireballs. And for this, it was like, yeah, I don't know. This will be fun to have to kind of fuck around every once in a while on just on my phone. And that has proven true. So just for a quick refresh, I don't need to go through the whole thing. This is kind of the framing device is you are a train that is going through hell. You're on the side of you're on the forces of hell, and you have like the last ember for the fires of hell. And if it goes out, like all of monsterdom is done, and the forces of heaven are coming to stop you. But you're on this train, and the train has multiple levels on it. And each card, like each monster card that you have, summons a monster into like a location, almost like a Darkest Dungeon style rank on the different floors of the car. And then there are cards that are spells, and you are taking on waves of enemies as they come in from the bottom, and then fight your dudes, and then move up to the top and try to damage the ember at the top. And this is not a new insight, but it is something that kind of brings it back around. There is something about like the permutations of, different cards and the strategies in which they can play and their synergies that just doesn't work for me as presented in a Slay the Spire. I place out these units and they've got moves on them and stuff, and just like, I don't know, just that added extra layer of I need to like very consciously like pick a rank where I'm putting all of these guys, and checking to see like how they work together with each other when this unit is grouped with that one, etc. Like just that little bit of like turning it slightly into a tactical RPG is enough to make this sing for me mechanically, whereas like Hearthstone has never worked for me. Slay the Spire is not inspiring to me. Inscription, I didn't do that intentionally. Inscription, I kind of tolerate because of the specifically the second version of the game you get to, but also like the theming and the playing with the box stuff in the first act of that. So like Monster Train works for me in a way that those ones don't, for reasons that I fully understand, and I have not seen anything else that matches that for me, and I'm kind of okay with that because I have forgotten just enough about Monster Train since I last played it to come in, and all of this is suddenly fresh to me.
Yeah, I think also like Monster Train has just a really, really on point synergy system.
Yes. Yeah. With each of the factions kind of having their own, like the way that it generates energy. And like each of them having like a marquee effect. So like the green, the green faction has, because it's plants, they've got thorns. So enemies that do damage to you take damage to themselves. The red faction has armor, and so on and so forth. And the like unlockable factions, like the candle faction.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
ridiculous.
My favorite.
Oh yeah, it is so swingy. And that's what I want in a roguelike, is just wildly broken swings.
Yes.
Yeah. So I dig it. It is fun to have it on phone. I guess I knew it, like a while ago that it came out on phone. I was worried that it was going to be too tiny to see on my phone. It's fine. I wish the text was a little bit bigger, but what are you going to do?
I'm curious now because I have played this on my phone through xCloud, like the game streaming thing. And it was definitely like you could play it, but it was inconveniently small. I'm curious if they updated the UI like to compare and contrast that to the actual phone version.
It's possible. It's possible also by like streaming it over, Xbox Live Cloud or whatever it is. By streaming it over there, like you're probably getting a lot of compression on the image that is making the text harder to read too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know, might be worth checking out to see. And I don't know, I need to see if the saves transfer over, because this would be just an absolute killer on the iPad.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I got far enough that I would worry about save progress anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, Monster Train, it's still good for all of the reasons that I discovered when I first played it, but now I've got it in a slightly more convenient form, on my phone instead of on Xbox. And that's enough.
Very cool.
Cool. Yeah, and that's all I've got. Nobody needs to hear me say more about the Silent Hill 2 remake. It's good.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you asked the nice people?
Yeah, look, we just trash talk out of a want to maximize every opportunity over here. But that doesn't mean that it can't be a little funny as well. So what is the most hilarious way to taunt or style on an opponent in game?
Yeah. And I'll get started here with Lindsay, who says, I'm not a big multiplayer guy, but getting teabagged in Halo was the ultimate form of ridicule I had in the game.
Elastic.
Yeah, it is. It is classic. I don't know. It always felt really aggressive to me. Yeah,
it's not passive aggressive; it's aggressive aggressive.
Yeah, it is. I was more of a fan of throwing a grenade at their body and sending it flying while they while they were still on the death cam. That was fun to me. Yeah. Let's see, Moxie. What does Peter say?
Peter says, not something I've ever done myself, but I've seen in several Pokemon Online events that someone will generate as many buffs as possible to their team. Then through the use of Baton Pass, the buffs carry over to other teammates. However, the linchpin is that when all of the states are fully buffed, the final member of the team is max level Caterpie, that then proceeds to wreck face on the opposing team. This literally allowed the Caterpie to sweep the entire opposing lineup.
Yeah, that's just mean. It's not mean. It's finally giving Caterpie its day and stay in the spotlight. I've come around.
If you can pull off all that setup, Caterpie deserves its time in the spotlight.
Yeah, they should probably see what you're building to. One imagines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dennis, what does Billy say?
Billy says, since Lindsay has already claimed the gorgeous art of teabagging, when I used to play Rocket League, me and my friends would use the quick chat, nice shot, nice save, to chastise people's mistakes. Gotta love being toxic on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only having those quick shout outs, I think, is way worse than people having access to full chat.
Yeah. Just you can read all the tone into it that you want.
Yeah, and it's there is less overtly horrible stuff, but people are using those shout outs way more.
Yes. Let's see here. Austin writes, in StarCraft, saying GG, good game, right before your winning attack was a level of disrespect worthy of jail time. also hubris. It's the like all of the videos of somebody about to win a race and then they celebrate prematurely, then someone comes up and just completely, they took their eye off the prize.
Oh, there's a great one that just came out of I think it was Commanders versus Eagles or something like that. But anyway, someone literally like chatting with the sideline while a Hail Mary play was going on because it was 1,001 shot and yeah, then gets beat for the ball. So
yeah.
I'm unfamiliar. Is StarCraft the kind of game where like the writing is on the wall a good deal of time before that final blow, or is it truly like down to that last hit, you're not sure whether or not you've lost?
In all of my experience, you've been a dead man walking before it actually kind of goes. You're very well aware of what your status is.
Yeah, most and notably, you have to win. You have to kill all of an enemy's units. So there can be very much be scenarios where you have destroyed the opponent's ability to make more units.
Mm-hmm.
But haven't necessarily hunted down all of their existing units.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Let's see. Moxie, what does Trip say?
Trip says, I report anyone that says GG's in deadlock. Said GG's unsportsmanlike.
I think that's GGEZ or like a good game easy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's that might be what it stands for, unless it's something specific and horrible in Deadlock that I'm unaware of.
No, I like Overwatch's approach to curtailing it, though, which is if you type that into Overwatch chat, instead of showing that, it'll show some other thing like 5 more minutes, mom. Or like, I am glad that we were all such good sportsmen or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Huh. Let's see. That was Moxie. Dennis, what does Manioff say?
I don't play multiplayer too much, but a simple one I used to do on a lot of games, mainly Killzone Shadowfall, was act as the kamikaze if my team was losing or it was quite close. Essentially unpin and hold a grenade and get as close to their objective on foot as I could. Then I'd either explode while running at them or be shot and drop the grenade with almost no fuse time left on it. On some matches, it led to people beginning to run away from the objective after I had done it a few times in a row, even if it wasn't actually me approaching or if I didn't have a grenade out, making it a little easier for other players to recapture. That is the new definition of taking one for the team.
Yeah.
Taking several in a row for the team, actually.
Yes. Hey, it's a game of inches. I was about to say every inch counts, but you animals would probably take that.
Yeah, not to go even more time on a game we've talked a lot about, but that explicitly does not work in Black Ops anymore.
Huh.
If the grenade hasn't left your hand by the time you're dead, it won't go off.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. I will take a step with Ricky says, I never use voice chat nowadays unless with friends and don't trash talk regardless, at all. But back in my Halo 2 and 3 days, my friends and I were chaos gremlins. If we were too far ahead, I'd grab a warthog, fill it with teammates, and drive off the map as ostentatiously as possible to make it competitive again. Or we'd start mispronouncing our teammates' names to make them play worse. You'd be amazed at how mad Predator, PR3DAT 4R, how mad Predator gets when you call him pre-3 to 4. Okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we might have a title there, actually.
Oh my god.
Pre-3 to 4.
C3PO.
Yeah. It cost us the game more often than not, but we'd rather lose spectacularly than win boringly.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Pre-3 to 4 is really
amazing.
I'm going to start reading all internet names that way.
Yeah.
All leet speak that way.
Moxie, round us out with random sum.
Sure. Random Sum says, I like using the item in all the Sourceborne games that makes the screaming sound when you throw it off a ledge where falling would result in death. The players hear the sound regardless of their distance from it, so I'll invade a host and just start tossing them over and over to get the scream to trigger.
Oh my god.
It's all screams. Oh man.
Now the host is actively hunting you just to get it to stop.
I don't really play multiplayer, so I don't have any of these. Like, I have been known to, if somebody's about to kill me, to take myself off the board, to deny them the kill, even though
you can't fire me, I quit.
Yeah, to do that. That's terrible sportsmanship, but I don't know. I used to do this when I was really young, so I don't feel terrible about it. The most memorable thing was, it wasn't even me playing. It was like Xbox Live days. I was over at a friend's house, and he was playing like a Rainbow Six or a Ghost Recon or something. He was driving, and it was like the whole group of us in a room, and I had the headset on, and I was talking, and every time somebody would would get a kill in on us, I would speak in a super calm, like super soothing voice, say, "Wow, I really respect how you did that. That was such a good kill." I couldn't have done that. I super respect that. Kind of doing like
ASMR on Xbox Live.
Yeah, before that was even before there was even a name for it, before it was like an internet fad. Basically doing like Kevin Nealon's character in Happy Gilmore. And it drove people fucking batty. Just like no matter what, I never responded angrily. I just talked in that super soothing voice. Like, oh my god, can you shut the fuck up? Yeah, that was fun.
Good times.
Moxie, how about you?
Man, that's overall, that's not, this sort of thing's not usually my thing. The funniest one I can remember is when we were all freshmen, we're big into playing Smash Bros, except that there was one guy on our floor that was like a competitive player that was just massively better than us.
Okay.
And the one time any of us technically beat him was when some people like spawned as Pikachu and just spammed his basic long range attack so that the guy couldn't get close. And after like 5 or 10 minutes, he just forfeited.
Okay. Huh. Well, that's a W.
Yep.
Counts.
Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, my favorite comes from Apex Legends. There's a character called Wraith that her like special ability, she can punch a teleport hole through space and time, so you can set an entrance and set an exit. And also, if you have a self revive, even if you're the last player and get knocked down, since you have the option to revive back up, you don't lose yet. And so in the game, like a full team of 3 knocking down their last opponent, which would be for the win, but they've got self-revive armor. Uh-huh. And then the team's Wraith like makes a portal that basically goes off a cliff. And they all like walk the downed opponent over to that portal and make them crawl through. Which to be fair, like the person kind of figured out what they wanted them to do and played along. But it was just so funny to see this crawling character be like, okay, I'll get in the portal and zoop over the cliff.
Oh man. Humiliating.
But entertaining.
Well,
And what is comedy if not humiliation plus entertainment or something like that?
Something like that.
One more story like that. I remember playing Battlefield 3, and in that game, more so I think than later games, if you had someone who actually knew how to use any of the jet fighters, if the rest of or the opposing team wasn't on point, they were almost unstoppable. And so was playing a match once where like right at the start of the match, one of our players had snuck over and placed C4 on one of the jets and just kind of forgot about it. And so like 10-15 minutes later, one of the players on the other team was just owning us with this jet until the player remembered their C4 and just activated it. And so all of a sudden this guy's jet explodes.
Just for no reason.
We just hear him cursing on the on the mic.
That's
like
good.
Forgetting you have a get out of jail free card in Monopoly.
Oh god. Nice. Well, everybody's a dick.
Yes.
Yeah. Inescapable. But those are good answers. And thank you so much for writing in. If you want to participate in these in the future, go to the Duckfeed community group in Facebook and watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons. Thank you, Dennis, for posting. And also no episode next week. So don't watch on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the last period of time or so.
Is that true?
No, that is not where we talk about things that are going on in the world of video games around us. I was looking at
It's been a night.
Yeah, we've had a lot of technical difficulties, and I apologize for that. No, I was looking at
Not
this.
on your side.
I was looking at the stories here to see who should go first. Ben had the one that is most like newsworthy or what have you. I don't know that we have anything to say about it other than it's happening, but the Harris and Walz campaign has a Fortnite map that they put out.
I saw this.
For people to do their civic engagement in Fortnite.
Fortnite in?
Yeah. I've got no idea. I've got no idea how this would how this would make, if this is going to move the needle, but it is part of a long tradition going back to Barack Obama buying campaign ads in Burnout Paradise, so who knows? Maybe we'll see. This isn't the story that I paid attention to over the weekend. It was AOC and Tim Walz doing a Crazy Taxi stream.
Yes.
Yeah,
I did not see Crazy
great.
Taxi coming.
So that's a thing. Tim Walz was he got addicted to the Dreamcast briefly back in 1999, to the point where his wife had to kind of take it away. And his game of choice was Crazy Taxi. And so he was on
hilarious.
there. He was on there playing this, kind of explaining the game to AOC, and it was, I don't know. I find that fact very endearing. While never become a fan of a politician or whatever, but I don't know. I like the Dreamcast. That is relatable to me. So good job.
I did also kind of like the strange, just one of his exes posting on Twitter about how great he was as a lover.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. None of my business.
Mind your own damn business, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the of course this was not free of conspiracy. People were posting screen grabs from his cam saying that controller isn't even on. Look at the Xbox logo on there. That's not even lit up. And it's like, it is lit up. That's why you can see it. That's how Xbox One controllers work. You dipshit.
I mean, it's also what is the scenario here? Crazy Taxi is not a difficult game. This wasn't he's oh yeah, my hobby is, doing no-hit runs in Dark Souls.
Yeah. It was an old man who wants to be second in line to shoot the nukes, who was showing off an old hobby of his. But of course, nothing can be real. So yeah, we're just going to have that discourse.
Every accusation is a confession. Since Donald Trump had to completely stage his McDonald's stint, they need Tim Walz to completely stage his video game playing.
Yeah.
Oh, not gonna lie, I do actually kind of want to see Trump play a video game.
It would be a curiosity at the very least. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe he can make that a regular feature. Something he does every once in a while. I would rather.
I hear the vice president doesn't really have that many responsibilities.
I would rather he actively try to stop the genocide. Would be cool to me.
Yeah,
but
you
some crazy taxi sessions might be a nice consolation prize on that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I'm just imagining ping pong diplomacy, except it's Crazy Taxi diplomacy.
Yeah. So I wanted to represent Ben's story there. Let's see. Moxie, what's going on with No Man's Sky?
Yeah, so this is mostly just a feel-good story. There was a player who had 611 hours in No Man's Sky, and had experienced some obscure game-breaking bug. Basically caused this weird flickering in his screen, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And one of the engineers very much approached as when there's a player who's spent this much time with the game, that sort of thing, we're definitely going to prioritize, tracking down this bug and, making sure that our, people that have really stood behind this game aren't going to suddenly lose their save game. And so, and they did fix it. The engineer mentioned that apparently the longest save game they fixed a bug for is like 4,000 hours or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
I was going to say 600 hours is probably small potatoes.
Right. And I think one of the interesting things is it sounds like a lot of these bugs are explicitly bugs that come from the fact that these are games that are going much longer or much bigger and, that sort of thing than what would be normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just kind of cool to see a developer, standing behind its games.
Yeah. No Man's Sky devs famously put out all of these big content patches, like what would basically be paid DLC for free, which is super nice until you realize each of these little fixes that the engineers do, they charge $1 million.
Yeah,
that's not true. That's just a joke about how do they fund. You see, nobody knows how they fund No Man's Sky, and that would be a funny answer as to how.
I think it's Sean Murray is the Singularity incarnate, and what the Singularity actually wanted to do was just make a quirky video game.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that literally the plot of No Man's Sky?
I don't know. It's one of them, maybe. Dennis, tell me about Balatro's invasion of indie games.
Yeah, this is probably the most wholesome version of the multiverse. Balatro has showed up in Dave the Diver. So two great tastes that taste great together now. You can find the game, which is under the name Jimbo's Game, which is a reference to the Joker in Balatro. It's in the Sea People Village. And these are all, I haven't played either of these games. I feel a little bit bad saying that. But so you can find it there. You can play the game. And if you win enough, you can get an item that makes weapons more powerful in Dave the Diver. So it's kind of a cool little nod from one indie dev to another. But I was surprised by the pedigree of other stuff that has showed up in Dave the Diver. MXM Toon, the artist, Alchemy Simulator Potion Craft, the game has been in there. There are updates with Dredge, and then go figure, Godzilla.
Yeah. That actually makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, it's Dredge 2. The game takes some weird turns.
Well, this is Dave the Diver has it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Dave the Diver takes some weird turns.
Yeah.
I see.
Putting Dredge stuff in there makes a good deal of sense based on what I know anyway.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they then on kind of a smaller scale have different card faces that are inspired by Stardew Valley, Cyberpunk 2077, Slay the Spire, Binding of Isaac. Like they're all the games in this game.
Yeah.
And that's quite a range. Like Stardew Valley to Cyberpunk is quite the range.
Yeah.
So kudos. Play Dave the Diver, have some fun with Balatro at the same time. And who knows what else will show up in there.
Don't know. Good for them. I like seeing. I don't know. I've always been charmed by that. Like even going back to like Super Meat Boy. Devs putting cameos from other indie dev games in their stuff. It's neat.
When it's a sign of mutual respect versus mutual profit lust, I enjoy it.
Right. Yeah. And then I'm going to steal the story that Jala posted for this because I didn't see a lot of news that I wanted to talk about. A sequel to an indie horror game that I enjoyed back when I played it. That game being The Infectious Madness of Dr. Dekker. FMV detective game where you're playing as a doctor who takes over for a therapist who has all of these patients who have occult psychological maladies, let's say, supernatural maladies. And you're trying to find out who killed him. There's a sequel. Apparently, somehow, Dr. Dekker came back, but then he was killed again by being pushed from a train. And there's another doctor who was killed at the same time, and you're another doctor who's coming in to and interrogate the patients and see what if you can figure out who actually did it. The announcement trailer from the studio, Dea Vecchi Studios, Jala, talks about their work a lot. All their FMV stuff. That's the Poe and Monroe team. Those folks. The trailer doesn't reveal anything really about gameplay, so I'm curious. But I don't know. I liked the original one. Enough that I want to give this other one a shot. FMV games are cool.
These doctors are sounding like lemmings, though.
Oh yeah. No, it's
one following each other off the side of a train.
Yep. So we'll see. I hope it's like Jala posted this and said like, oh, it's looking like a murder on the Orient Express thing. But I hope that you are on the train. Based on the narration, I don't know that you're trying to solve the murder on the train.
This is the one with Detective Inspector Jinx. I mean, not literally, but that voice actor.
I don't know if that actor is in Infectious Madness. I don't think that he is.
Oh, I thought he was.
Yeah, I don't recall. But maybe he's making an appearance in the second one. I don't know. But yeah, that's my story there. The one that Jala passed along. Cool.
Very cool.
How do you all feel about buttoning it up?
Let's button the hell out of it.
Yeah.
The credits.
Thank you so much for listening to level number 521. Remember, no episode next week. We'll be back the week after. Go check out that Halloween reading that I talked about, the most recent one, Shiva Open Your Eye by Laird Baron. That is up on the Patreon, and do all the things to support this show, ratings or reviews, telling your friends, all of it helps out. Dennis, anything that you had to promote?
No, late pledges for Deck of Wonders are still open. And other than that, I'm just hard at work on getting the game finished and made.
Cool.
So point of order, the actor was Rupert Booth, and I was getting the shape-shifting detective
Yes, also by
mixed up.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, I've been Cole Ross. You can find me on Blue Sky at Cole Ross.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me on Blue Sky at Furia Games.
I've been Moxie.
And stick around for some titles. It's going to be hard to beat pre-3 to 4.
It's got to be that.
The other one I had was Call of Duty, all of them, but I vote for pre-3 to 4.
Yeah.
And then Ben typed in a candidate.
Yes. If that image
imagine he'd protest.
If that image turned you on, I'm sorry.
That is pretty good.
Yeah. Let me just copy that into the Notion. So yeah, seems like it's going to be pre-3 to 4.
It's got to be, yes.
Okay. It is decided.